I'm very happy and have perspective about we can't compare ourselves to somebody else. Even a twin cannot be compared to its twin. They're different entities. So there's no point. Oh, they're better than me, they're thinner than me, they're more successful than me, they're smarter than me. We all have something that we bring. And so people with self-esteem and that self-confidence don't need to compare to validate themselves. The third one on the back of that is perfection. We have the ability of understanding perfection isn't actually a real thing, and that striving for perfection, stop trying to be or putting off something for the fear of perfectionism. It's not going to serve you, and it actually does not exist. So drop that shit. From that, then learn from the things that we think have gone wrong, the things that aren't quite right. Through our reflection, we're able to see the possibilities and the opportunities of how to do things differently, how to be more efficient, how to get different results that are more in line with what we would like. So dropping the perfection and moving into, well, what is something that I can get from that failing or that whatever didn't quite go to plan. And number 5, oh my goodness, we cannot control anybody else, and we cannot control life. We can. We can control ourselves, and even that has its limitations. Trying to control everything is just going to leave you in frustration. You can't control any other than yourself, and if you're not even in control of your own thoughts, everything's just going to be that much harder. So go easy on yourself. Just work on what you can control, and then from there, how can you fill your own tank? This is it's a big perspective about the ability and the awareness to look within ourselves, to understand that only I know what I need at any given moment, that can be distorted if my ego is playing up in me, and that my happiness does not depend on someone else. People with high self-esteem find ways to sustain themselves, to fill themselves up, to find ways of improving what could be a bad moment or a bad experience or a bad conversation. Bad. We can fix that ourselves by the way we look at things. So if you're a glass half empty or a glass half full, it doesn't matter. It's what you do with that other half that matters. How do you see that as an opportunity? The gratitude you have for the first half is actually more important than the empty half, or quarter, or dribble, whatever it might be. It's up to you to see what that is. So fill your own tank up with happiness. That's how you smile within. And from that, number 7 is celebrating the small wins along the way. I'm not great at this, so this is one of my failings. I'm really good at getting stuff done and move on and don't even acknowledge sometimes, wow, I just achieved that major achievement. I just ticked off a major goal. So celebrate and enjoy the small steps that go into the big piece of your life. If you're working towards a large goal, break down and have those milestones that you can celebrate. That fulfills your self-esteem. Because if you understand that you're getting there, if you're able to acknowledge your progress, it's going to fill you up. Consider others. And that comes from a place of compassion. Be kind to others. We have no idea what's happening else in someone else's world. And kindness costs nothing. And yet the wins can be magnificent. Not only can you bring a smile to somebody else when they might not have anything in their own tank to smile about, or have no reserves left to be optimistic, you're filling yourself up by being kind, by having compassion, by removing the judgments. And look for the opportunity to make up, if you like, for that gap, for that lapse in self-awareness, for that lack of compassion for another. What can you do that allows you to have gratitude for what you have versus what you don't have? What can you do that allows you to look at another and not have judgment, or accept your judgment and then act on whatever that judgment was in the reverse anyway? So last night's event was about the homeless, and this woman said the way people would look at her, the way people would almost pretend they hadn't seen her, when they would pass her. And she would know when somebody's seeing you. You know when you make that subtle eye contact. You know when there's been a very gentle energy exchange. You see them, oh, it's too hard, I'm going to look away. Just smile. Not only does it give them just a glimmer of humanity, but it can create a chemical reaction that will benefit yourself. Please, please, please consider others and have compassion for others. You do not know the battles that's going on in somebody else's mind, in their lives. And from there, surround yourself with positive people. If you have negative ninnies in your life, how can you reduce the amount of time you're exposed to them? How can you adjust what you do and what you say in response to them? There are people who have a low vibration. That's human. That's just the way the world works. If we are operating at maybe a happiness level of 500 and somebody else is operating at a level of 100, our vibration is half. We're average of the vibration that they and you put together. So you are lowering your vibration, and therefore your self-esteem is impacted when you are around people with low vibrations. Hang out with people higher. You've got to then be conscious of how you're bringing their vibration down. It's big stuff, important stuff, but sometimes easy stuff. How do you think? How do you say? How do you act? And if somebody wants to help you and support your growth in that, absorb every bit that you can. As you raise your vibration, more self-esteem and more self-worth, and then of course self-love is the ultimate destination. And finally is healing your wounds. We all have baggage. We all have stuff that we carry around on our shoulders that we cannot drop. Heal them. How can you let go of them in a safe environment with people that you can trust? Can you just simply look at it and go, you know what, that's not serving me anymore. That attitude, that perspective, that belief about someone else or my ex or my childhood, can we shift it enough just through consciousness? Go, you know what, I'm not going to think like that anymore. It doesn't benefit me in my future. Otherwise, see if you can get some help. The more subconscious work we can do, the higher self-esteem is going to be. How does all of that relate to your relationships? Well, it's pretty obvious. If you've got a low self-esteem, you're going to allow the people around you to behave poorly, to speak poorly, to act poorly towards you. Nearly all of my coaching clients allow poor behaviors to be expressed towards them. Now, they're not all bad, but they're not necessarily what they want. It's not what they feel they're giving out, they're not receiving back. And it's because of self-esteem and self-worth. This stuff is critical in your relationship. If you don't think highly of yourself, you're not going to instill the respect from the other party. If you don't think highly of yourself, somebody else will treat you the way that you're going to let yourself be treated. No one else can set your boundaries. At the moment, I'm working with 5 clients, well, many clients, but 5 of those are in domestic violence, emotional or financial, or in one case, physical aggression and abuse. And it comes from a low self-esteem. They don't see that self-worth as well. They don't see that they're worthy of being treated with respect, that they're worthy of more than what they currently have. This stuff is critical. How we think of ourselves impacts how we show up in our relationships. So again, heavy stuff. One day I'll get to the light topics, but this is the foundation stuff. We need to get this out the way up front. We need to understand who we are and how we think of ourselves, because that's how we're going to let others treat us. Have amazing afternoons and evenings, and we will see you next week.